Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you so much for spending time with us again today. Tonight is going to be a great service. We're in John chapter 17, dealing with the high priestly prayer of Jesus as he prays for our protection and as he prays for our sanctification. It's a great study. I look forward to seeing you tonight, either at East Campus Live Feed or here in Main Campus. But today, let me sit down and talk with you about leadership again. We're opening 2 Corinthians chapter 1, so let's start with verse 12. Now this is our boast. Our conscience testifies that we have conducted ourselves in the world, and especially in our relations with you, in holiness and sincerity that are from God. We have done so not according to worldly wisdom, but according to God's grace. For we do not write you anything you cannot read or understand. And I hope that as you have understood us in part, you will come to understand us fully, that you may boast of us just as we will boast of you in the day of our Lord Jesus Christ. What a beautiful passage. Now, there's so much I could teach you from there, but I want to deal with that little part that nobody ever talks about, understanding the people in leadership over you. Paul said, now that you've come to understand us in part, he said, you haven't really figured us out yet, but now that you've understood us in part, that's a good thing. But he said, I pray that you'll come to understand us fully. Have you ever sat down to try to understand us pastors? Now that's a strange thought. Pastors are always supposed to try to understand the people. But have you ever, as a church member, tried to understand your pastor? Tried to understand the pastor's wife? Tried to understand the people in spiritual leadership over you? Paul said, it's wonderful that you've understood us in part. He said, I pray that you'll understand us fully, so that you may boast of us. Wow. He said, you'll never be able to be proud of us. You'll never be able to exclaim about us until you really, fully understand us. I want to challenge you today. We've got members scattered all over the world, and many of you that watch this little podcast every day, and the last check, there's something like 282,000 people scattered all over the world watching this little tiny thing. Never thought it was going to go like it's gone. But whatever church you go in, whatever church you're a part of, why don't you sit down today and try to understand your pastor. Try to understand the people in spiritual leadership over you. You understand them in part, that's great. But now, why don't you ask the Lord to help you understand them fully? Instead of always asking them to understand you, why not try to understand them a little bit also?